Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Report. My name is Carlos Torres, along with Fred Alvader. Every week we bring you the latest in the world of golf. And Fred, hi, how are you this week?
Hey, Carlos, doing really good. I'm down here in Florida. I've been down here for a couple weeks, really enjoying the warm weather, going swimming every day. This is pretty nice stuff. But hey, want to open the show tonight, Carlos. We want to start off by offering our condolences to Tiger Woods and his family on the loss of his mother, who passed yesterday. He has said many times that she was the rock of the family and probably more responsible for his success than his father. Our condolences go out to Tiger and family. As you know, Carlos, I had the opportunity to attend a TGL match last night between Boston with Rory, Adam Scott, Keegan Bradley versus Los Angeles Club with Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, and Colin Morikawa. It was quite entertaining, and I have to say, everything was done there first class. The venue is perfect for this event. It moves fairly fast. The 40-second clock really keeps things moving. They play music all the time. It's a very nice atmosphere. This was the fifth week of the competitions. There will be no TGL next week as they're taking the week off because of the Genesis. For Tiger, they're not having all the guys that he playing his thing are out there in California, so they're not doing it. But as the tour ends up moving back to Florida here in a couple of weeks, they're really ramping up. They'll be doing a lot of the shows over the next few weeks, with the finals ending on March 24th and 25th. Carlos, I want to mention to you one of the things I found interesting that I know for old guys like you and me, maybe the TGL isn't the most popular thing, but one of the things they're going for is a younger audience. And, on a regular TV broadcast, the average age is 63 years old. If you average 50 years of age for a broadcast, that's really young. Well, they're averaging 51. So they're really happy about that. But even more so, 44% of their audience, of their viewership, is in the age group from 19 to 49. They really like that, and their sponsors like that because they're reaching a much younger audience. Jury's still out whether or not the thing will survive, but everyone there seemed to be very positive of the results thus far and really happy with it, Carlos. So it was really interesting to watch. It was a good show.
So the question for you is, so are you a convert now in the TGL fan or not yet?
Not really. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm one of those old guys. It was entertaining. It was nice to be there. I really enjoyed it. But when I watch it at home, I find that I start losing interest after about the sixth hole. Matter of fact, last night was the first time I had watched singles. I didn't realize that they take turns with singles. So two guys play, and then the next two guys play, and then the next two guys play, and then they revert again to the first two guys, then the second two guys, the third two. So they only play two singles matches really in the six holes each guy. And they play the same guy each time. And it's a little different. They're hitting off those tight lies and stuff. It's a little different for them. So I think it's going to catch on, but it's a younger audience, Carlos. It's not for guys like you and me.
Definitely. But hey, we have a couple of things that we want to talk about today, and it's pertaining to LIV, which I think it's getting a boost with these two decisions that one was made for them and the other one was made for by them. So the first one is that hey Fred, the USGA has announced what I would consider a groundbreaking decision because they're creating a direct exemption pathway to the LIV golfers to play into the US Open. This is the first time a major championship has established such a provision. And this is going to start right away. This 2025 US Open at Oakmont Country Club. The top player from the LIV golf standings that is not already exempt and ranked within the top three as of May 19 is going to receive a full exemption into the tournament. Additionally, the top 10 players in the LIV standings as of April 7th will be granted local exemptions. What does that mean? Well, that's going to be allowing them to bypass that initial qualifying stages and they will go directly into the final qualifying rounds. So, Fred, what's your first thought about this? How did this happen? What do you think about it?
Carlos, the first thing that I thought about was it really surprised me, first of all, because USGA, as you and I both know, does not move real rapidly. And for them to come out with this at this point in time, just really a couple months away from the U.S. Open. This is a big deal. Nobody had been talking about this. There was no lead up to it, no thought, out in the public on it. The USGA came up with this on their own. So I see this as a Michael Wan thing. Okay, I see this as Michael Wan saying, "Hey, we've got to do something. We need those players in the U.S. Open. How do we go about it?" But this is huge. This is really big for the LIV, Carlos. For the USGA, not so much. I mean, they're going to hold the tournament no matter what, and they're going to have a good tournament. That'll be fine. But for the LIV guys, that's been their big complaint. They're not getting OWGR ranking points, and they're not getting into the majors, except for the guys that are already exempt, that have won majors and can keep their ranking and stay in there. So, Carlos, this to me is one more step in the LIV gaining full actual legitimacy. First, we've had the LIV players winning majors. Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka have both won over the last couple of years. And Cam Smith won the Open Championship. He was still a PGA Tour member back then, but that carries over, so he's still got some exemptions left, a couple years left on that. And then next, we just saw Fox do the TV deal with them. That gives them access to a much wider TV audience. Their first event is this week. I'm really anxious to see what kind of numbers they pull off of Fox for the tournament this week over in Saudi Arabia. That'll be cool to see. And like I said, one of the complaints that we've been hearing from players exiting LIV, losing their status there, is that the lack of status for the major tournaments and official world golf ranking points have left a few of the LIV players disgruntled. So this new guy they've got, the new CEO, Greg Norman, of course, is gone. I don't know if this is due to something that Scott O'Neill ran up the flagpole with Michael Wan at the USGA, or if this is something the USGA came up with their own. Is it a thing that now that Greg Norman's gone, are people more open to working with LIV and not Greg Norman? There's some questions that still are out there, Carlos, but to me, this is a big deal for LIV.
Definitely. I think this development stems from ongoing discussions about the inclusion of LIV golf players in major tournaments. As you mentioned, historically, major championships have relied on the official world golf ranking points and other traditional criteria for the exemptions. However, since LIV golf events do not offer official world golf ranking points, its players have faced challenges in qualifying for majors, which has been the history so far. So, recognizing this evolving landscape of professional golf and the talent within the LIV circuit, the USGA has taken what I think are proactive steps to ensure that the top performing LIV golfers have a pathway into the US Open. Now, I see some benefit for the LIV players, right? This exemption provides significant advantages for their participants. Like first, you got guaranteed major participation. So the top LIV players now have a clear route to compete in one of golf's most prestigious events. So that enhances their visibility and the career opportunities that otherwise they wouldn't have had if this haven't happened. Another thing for LIV going on this, you mentioned it, is competitive recognition. The exemption acknowledges the high level of competition within LIV golf. It offers its players deserved recognition in the major platforms. And finally, I think this is something that they're going to be seeing it as an incentive for performance, because now this structure is serving as a motivation for the LIV golfers to perform consistently, knowing now that the top standings can lead to a major championship participation. So that'll, some of them, and some of the critique that I have seen also on the LIVs, they have their money, they're not going to play for anything else now, so why should they bother on this? No, now they know, okay, I have to play good, because now if I'm on top of the rankings, now I have action to go at least into the USGA's US Open. Now we have to go to see what, if this USGA decision, it is a bold acknowledgement of the shifting dynamics in professional golf. So by granting these exemptions, the USGA is not only recognizing the legitimacy of the LIV circuit, but also is challenging the other major championships now to reconsider their qualification criteria. Right? This could be seen as a progressive step towards inclusivity, ensuring that the best talents that we have been missing in the majors, regardless of their tour affiliations, are present in the major tournaments. But one last thing, however, it may also spark debates about the traditional pathways to the majors and the role of the emerging tours in the golfing ecosystem. But definitely, they have to start realizing it's not only a monopoly one place. The best way to have is to have those different tours, the best players from each on the best tournaments.
We keep hearing about the deal getting done between the PIF, the LIV, and the PGA Tour so that everybody can play nice and everybody can get along. Is this a precursor to that? Do they know something? Does the USGA, does Michael Wan know something that we don't know? That maybe this is going to be coming about over the next few months, or maybe even affecting this year or next year? And the second part of this, Carlos, is that it actually kind of falls into the next segment we want to talk about. But one of the big things that LIV doesn't seem to want to move off of is their 54 hole tournament structure. And the OWGR said, hey, we don't recognize 54 hole tournaments. You got to be 72 holes to get OWGR ranking points. So is this a negotiating thing where, the USGA is reaching out to LIV, say, okay, we're giving you this. Now let's reconsider and let's get you, where you can back in now and maybe get some WGR ranking points and become a real tour instead of maybe just like the exhibition that everybody kind of thinks that they are anyhow. So again, it all ties together with the new Fox deal. And so this whole thing is, the LIV is we decided that what, a year and a half ago now, that I guess they're around to stay. So we got to figure out a way to work together and play nice. And maybe this is a step in that right direction, Carlos.
I think so, and they keep doing these things. First that TV deal, now this part about the USGA recognizing it. I think is going to push the other majors to reconsider and see how that happens. And also, they have announced what is a significant change to its team competition scoring system for this season as well. So they're making a changes, and who knows? I think they're preparing for either forcing a deal or force their way to be more legitimate and actually get more of those players to come in here. And what they did is previously during the first two rounds of a tournament, only the best three scores from each four-player team were counted. So if you were carrying the fourth one, Pat Perez, sorry, somebody that wasn't performing well, I'm not saying any names, and then they win a lot of money at the end of the year.
Bubba Watson got bounced.
Yeah, let's not mention any names. We're not saying anything. We're
Yeah.
gonna say that fourth score, right, was not counting. So, but starting this season, all four player score will count in every round. So the implications of that change is that this adjustment means that every shot from every player now directly impacts the team's overall standing throughout the whole tournament. So the teams can no longer rely on discarding a poor scorer in the initial rounds and placing increased pressure on each golfer now to perform consistently from the start to finish. So, like you mentioned now, Bubba Watson says, he said, and I'm going to quote him, it does make volatility bigger, crazier. Nobody can hide. So what are your initial thoughts about this change? I do think now it's going to make it more interesting because one thing is going to put pressure on all four players now. I can't hide, and it's going to be making teams more interesting how you're going to build them.
So you're probably not going to like my answer, but my first thought is that I really don't care because I really don't care about the LIV team. It does not excite me at any point. I've tried to watch LIV in the past. I don't care about the teams. I think they're stupid. They're trying to bring out the Ryder Cup, the President's Cup, the Solheim Cup kind of team competition thing. It doesn't get there for me. I'm sorry, but I do think it's another step in them saying, "Oh, we're a real golf tour. we're going to count all the scores. We're not going to just have somebody mailing it in if they're having a bad week on their team, because their team members are going to say, "Hey, play every shot, dude. It may make a difference here. We're talking about money here." And they do pay what? They pay, I think, $4 million to the winning team every week. So they do get a chunk of change out of that thing. So it is important for those guys, and it does put the pressure on them to keep playing. There are no cuts on the LIV. That's another sticking point with OWGR. And so you're not going to have these guys, they're going to be out there playing, and they're not going to mail in their 75. They've got to try and make a couple birdies to get it back down around even par so that they're helping the team a little bit, or at least not hurting them. So that makes everybody play a little bit harder. That's a good thing, Carlos. That's a very good thing. So I like that part of it. I like the part that they're maybe trying to make their league a little bit more competitive, a little bit more like a real golf tour should be. I like that. But as far as the team goes, I've never gotten into that whole team deal with them. They seem to think they're going to make a lot of money on that and all that kind of stuff. But Carlos, I do like the fact that they're counting all four, though. I think it's a good thing, all in all.
Yeah, I mean, I understand your point about not liking the team. It's not the traditional history in golf, which is why it doesn't stick maybe with the purist in golf. But at the same time, with this change, and you're just seeing it on the TGL, it's a team competition. So it is the TGL is like a response to the team competition on the LIV on a different way, but still is something that is gaining track, and eventually it will hit with the fans one way or another. But what I see, and the main point is what you're saying, is enhanced competition. If you are not a top player and you were that fourth player, you didn't care, I'm gonna get paid anyway. Because if my team is Bryson DeChambeau or is Dustin Johnson or is Brooks Koepka and they're carrying me, Pat Perez, and I'm gonna win money anyway, why should I care about that? Now you have to, because if you don't perform, your team is not going to be winning. So performance is crucial now for each one of them, which makes the tournament may make them more engaging, because now we're going to see every player going for it. Now, viewers, fans are likely to experience that heightened excitement, knowing that every shot matters now. It's not about just me, it's about the whole team. I want to make money. So for the potential for significant shifts in team standings throughout the tournament can lead to more dynamic and unpredictable outcomes. And also it's more elevated player accountability. So the players are incentivized to maintain focus and deliver their best in every round, which at the end of the day is going to foster a high level of professionalism and dedication for them, thus enhancing the tour. The only cons that I see on this is, well, there's going to be a lot of pressure. This new format may place excessive pressure on the less experienced and maybe the lower ranked players, potentially leading them to increase performance anxiety, mistakes. Oh my God, I need to make this putt so that my team doesn't fall out of the first, second, third place. So the wider score margins, there's a potential there. Teams with that weaker fourth player might struggle to remain competitive. So the jury's still out to see if this leads to a larger gaps between leading and trailing teams. We don't know, but definitely at the end of the day, this could change. This could be a double-edged sword. While it promises to make tournaments more thrilling because every shot counts, it might also expose and widen the gap between between the teams with strong, consistent lineups and those that lack the depth. Because now the depth is going to be is going to be needed.
That's the big deal in this thing. I mean, that's the thing with Ryder Cup teams, right? That's what we've said for a long time. Like the President's Cup, they've got good guys at the top 3 or 4 spots, but the guys at the bottom, the guys at 9, 10, 11, 12 are not nearly as strong. And so they can't match up against an American team who's got everybody in the top 25 in the, in the OWGR. And so that's this deal. If you've got a 3 player and a 4 player that are not carrying their weight and are consistently in the bottom 2/3 or a quarter of the field, they're going to be hurting their team big time now. And so, you mentioned Pat Perez. That first year, what was it? He was shooting. I mean, he was finishing like in 40th place out of 48, and he's making $1 million because Dustin Johnson and Gooch and the other and Patrick Reed were carrying him. They were shooting well. They were winning the team competition without him because they're in counting three. Now, if he would have been there, I think last year the numbers were that it would have changed the results in 7 tournaments last year on the team competition if they would have counted all 4 scores. So it's going to make a big difference in the team segment of these LIV tournaments. It maybe elevate the play for everybody, maybe because the pressure is on them and they can't just mail in or take the week off. So anything to do that, Carlos, I'm a fan of. But as far as the team deal and the LIV, not so much.
Well, any final thoughts of anything during the week? I truly think, and I was just joking about this, about the announcement of the USGA all of a sudden announcing the pathway to the majors. It was like all of a sudden out of nowhere. It came like that Luka Doncic trade that just what happened? So this is the same thing. It's like what now? LIV has a
And
pathway
it's so
to
unusual for the USGA to come out like that.
yeah.
That's just completely out of character for them.
Definitely. It was like, what? I mean, you sent me that. I was like, what? I can't believe it. No, no, this is, I got to check if it's true or not. But hey, here we are. So it's getting closer. It's getting closer the way for a resolution of what is going to happen with golf and the diversity right now with the PGA Tour and the LIV. Will they come back together and form something unique? And maybe that global tour that we have been waiting for? Or will they keep their separate ways and then LIV get some more legitimacy and get some more of those players? Because then they may get all WGR points. We don't know, but it's going to be interesting down the road. So, any final words, Fred?
Can't happen soon enough to suit me, Carlos.
Can be. Hey, if you haven't done so, hey, follow the show or give us a like so you can stay up to date with any of our new shows and any topics that we bring to you. Thank you for joining us. It's our pleasure to bring you the latest in the world of golf.